Hi YouTube, in this video I'm going to be talking about the Intel Arc B580. We're going to do some Blender rendering. The last part of the video I'm just going to talk about the viewport performance. So I tested the 4 scenes that I normally test in Blender, which are the classroom, the barbershop, the lone monk scene, and the Scanland scene. Okay, so here I have the results with the Intel Arc B580 highlighted in sort of a light blue. These results are for the classroom scene, and you can see here the Intel GPU ran the classroom scene in 47 seconds. That puts it about 15 seconds behind the A770 from Intel, and you can see what else it compares to. It looks like it was just slightly faster than the 7600 XT that I just tested recently from AMD. So pause it here if you want to see these results, and with each one of these I'll create a community post that has the data posted, so you can always go back and refer to those if you want to see them just as images or download them there. Next up is the barbershop scene. So for this one, the Intel GPU took 281 seconds. It actually lost out by almost 50 seconds to the 7600 XT in this slightly heavier scene. And again, it's quite a bit slower than the A770 from Intel, which is last generation's biggest GPU. And you can see the rest of the results. Lone Monk scene, which is the heaviest of all of them. The Arc B580 scored 316 seconds, which puts it looks like, right behind the RTX 3070. On this test, it actually beat out the 3060 and the 7600 XT by a fair bit. And finally, the Scanlands. The B580 took 168 seconds, which again puts it quite a bit behind the A770, and it is again a little bit faster than the 7600 XT. So that's it for these results. Watch for that community post if you want to download these images for your own reference. Next, I'm going to just kind of attempt to do some sort of viewport performance test in one of my animation scenes that I've been working on. And I just basically am remoted into the same machine that I tested these Blender test scenes on with the Arc GPU, and I'll let you see what happens there. I am still remoted into the test bench setup. On the preferences box here, you can see that I have the Intel B580. I have Ombre on GPU enabled. And then this is just an animation that I'm working on. It's a fairly heavy scene as far as VRAM goes, and number of vertices, it's about 3.15 million vertices. So it's not crazy, but it's harder to run. And I'm just going to compare this to my workstation, which has the RTX 4090 in it, and just kind of show you the difference in the viewport performance. This is something people have been asking me for a long time. I'm going to start doing it on each one of these videos. So I'll start panning around here just in the viewport. And there's going to be a little extra lag because I'm using remote desktop for this. Most of this is just from the system itself. And if you look on the right side, I have Task Manager open, and you can see the GPU is running at 100% when I'm moving this frame. And yes, it moves around a bit, but it's pretty blocky, and it's hard to be precise with it. So now if I start to play the animation, you can see the frame rate up at the top left, and I have frame dropping turned on, so it only plays as many frames as it can. Basically, it doesn't play every frame. And you can see that performance is just not great. It's really kind of hard to follow the character, and you know, FPS is just low. So I'll stop that, and then we'll turn on the actual shading preview. So you can see what settings I have denoising turned on to start at sample 64. You can see up at the top left just how long it takes for this card to render the frame. And it's definitely still usable. And this is a very heavy frame, like I said, but it's really not something that I would buy compared to other things. There's a lot to be said about how much performance you're buying, even though this is a cheap card. So now, just to show you, I'm going to close my remote desktop here, and we'll go back to my workstation. This is the regular computer I use to do all of my scenes. And you can see that the GPU is rarely being fully utilized in the viewport here, just moving around. And it's much, much smoother, easier to be precise with this. And then here I'll play the animation. And you can see just how much smoother this is. I can literally follow the character in full 24 frame per second. And I can watch him walk around on the frame with no drop in noticeable performance at all. So now obviously the 4090 that I have in this setup costs much, much more, but you know, the performance difference here is clear. So let's turn on the render preview. And this card is so fast that you can almost even preview the animation with rendering turned on. And this is at obviously with all of the background and stuff turned on. But just loading still frames takes literally almost no time at all compared to the Intel card. So I don't know how else to benchmark the performance in the viewport other than just kind of the feel of it. So I'll have to come up with an actual scene to test this and maybe get some sort of a frame rate count. But it looks like basically this setup runs it at 24 frames per second easily in the viewport with no materials turned on. And the other setup runs the animation at about 4 frames per second. If you know a good way to test the viewport performance in more of a scientific way that I can get numbers for, let me know. But for now, it's just going to have to be by feel. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and watch for more videos coming soon.